mic volume. There we go. Good evening. This is supposed to be a dark and stormy night. We missed. Next year we'll have the dark and stormy night. My name is Fred Stonehouse. I'm the president of the museum board. And I'd like to welcome all of you here to the last of this season's Maritime History on Tap. And we'll be back next year, so please like us on Facebook and you'll be wired directly into the activities of the museum, and particularly the season's Maritime History on Tap programs, the 6 of those that we do during the year. But right now, this will be the last one for this season. Traditionally, we've done this program now 3 years, and this has always been the one that wraps it up because people love a ghost story. They love, I think, maybe reaching through to the other side. And I'm not taking anything away from our presenters, but it will be a program where the folks on the other side will really be the topic of the conversation. We will get there. Good news, the opening date for the museum will be May 14th. So write that in your calendar. I would also ask you to consider doing one of 3 things, 4 things perhaps. Join us in the museum. We have memberships available at our table, and please pick one up, think about it, and become a member. Consider perhaps becoming a volunteer at the museum, of giving a lighthouse tour during the summer or helping us in other ways. We only run really efficiently through the value and the work that our volunteers give us. They really are the heart and soul of the museum and the heart and soul of the maritime history effort in Marquette. Lastly, should the mood strike you, we certainly need board members. And if you'd like to step into our leadership role in the museum and help move forward, please talk to me when the program is done and we can better explain what that process is. Finally, number 4 that I promised you out of 3, but number 4, our roof is nearly completed. We have yet to pay for it. Which is why I'm thankful for everybody for putting the $5 in the can as we came in. And if you happen to miss that coming in, it'll still be there when we go out, so think about that too. But if you have any opportunity to contribute greater than that, that certainly would be very, very helpful. You're looking at $150,000 sitting on top of that building right now. And certainly it's something that had to be done. It was necessary for it to be done, and we grasped onto and are making sure that it is done. Lastly, let me introduce our presenters tonight. One of our board members, certainly Susan Hill and Trish, both of which are members of UP Paranormal and have been deeply involved with the investigations of the other side at the Marquette Harbour Lighthouse now for 3 years. And I'm not going to steal their thunder. It's all yours, guys. Come on up and give us the report card for the year.
Ladies and gentlemen, Fred Stonehouse, acclaimed maritime author and historian. Thank you guys for coming out tonight. It is so nice to see everybody. Trish and I are pumped to be up here one more time. Before we start, quick show of hands. Who does not believe in ghosts? Show me your hands. Anybody? We got a few. Higher. Bifocals. All right. Okay, a few. Who does believe? There we go. Okay, a lot more than I thought. Who was not sure? Okay, yeah, that was me a few years ago. Here we are now. All right, without further ado, let's get rolling and we'll get started. We've got a couple little video clips to show you guys to start off.
Everyone knows Marquette's Red Lighthouse, but do you know it may be haunted? Learn more by taking a paranormal lighthouse tour. Hear the stories of events and spirits that dwell on lighthouse grounds. Tours every Friday. For more information, visit mqtmaritimemuseum.com. Everyone knows Marquette's Red. Everyone knows
And one more little clip just to wet your whistle.
We finally started getting some answers.
Is there a Pam here? Is the keeper here? Are you keeper sales? Yeah. hear it. How old are you? Did you? I heard two. Okay. Do you know Susan? Sweetheart, what's your name?
Hello, Susan.
Say hello, Susan. That's what I thought. Yes, he said yes.
Well, we started using the Portal Plus that we finally started getting some answers.
So that happened in 2019, and that still makes the hair stand up on my arms hearing that "Hello, Susan" tonight. I didn't believe in ghosts. So imagine my surprise when that came through. Every once in a while now, we will get a "Hello, Susan" through the equipment, but now it's cool because I know who it is, and I can be like, "Hey," and it's kind of a cool party trick now. But anyway, a few fun pictures from our last season. So I guess a little bit about who we are and why we do this. Trish, come on forward here. Trish Kotz is the founder of Tap-Paranormal, and she is the only person that I've ever met that has holy water in her car and black salt in her purse in case somebody picks up a demon. And I'm not kidding. Like, this woman is not scared of anything. She has investigated places that I would... Well, she's scared of spiders, but yeah, me too. She's gone into places that I would never set foot in. I'm in awe of how brave she is. Penitentiaries and sanitariums, and something tried to strangle you this past summer on one of your trips. Yeah. So if you don't follow Tap-Paranormal on Facebook, you should, because she posts all of her adventures up there, and it's really neat to watch. I won't be on any of those. I'm strictly the lighthouse and the odd private investigation. But so I'm Susan. I am not a Youper. I am Canadian, and I have been here for 7 years now. And when I first visited Marquette as a tourist, what did I do? I went on a lighthouse tour. Because I come from the Western Canadian prairie where there's no big lake and certainly no lighthouses, and I saw that big red iconic lighthouse and I fell a little bit in love, as we all do. So my tour was awesome. I moved here the following year and I saw a poster that Hillary was looking for volunteers. Being shy as I am, I thought I would offer to be a volunteer and a tour guide. And what a great way to meet people in your new city. So that was fun. People come from all over the world to visit lighthouses around the Great Lakes. So it really is, you get all sorts of people. So I started doing that, not believing in ghosts. This is the fun part of the story. I mean, if I was watching TV and I saw Most Haunted was on, I might watch for a little bit and think, that's kind of cool. I wonder if that's real. Have you guys ever done that? You wonder if it's real? Probably not. I'd go vacuum or whatever I was doing, and I'd never had a personal experience that made me really believe in the paranormal. That changed after I started volunteering at the lighthouse. And I'm going to tell you guys a couple stories about that in a few minutes, as well as how I ended up contacting Trish because I was afraid. And
so I get this message.
I'll just let you introduce yourself and we'll carry on from there.
So I get this message on Facebook, introduces herself, tells me all the stuff that's going on, and wants me to come and check it out. And I'm like, it's a lighthouse, like what the hell's gonna happen there, you know? And the first day I went there, stuff was happening, you felt something was just off. And we started investigating and just immediately started getting EVPs, if you don't know what they are, electronic voice phenomenon. If you don't believe it, I don't know how to explain it to you other than they are on a different frequency than we are. And so when I play a recorder and I ask questions, I can play it back and I will get responses. And, you know, am I just hearing what I want to hear? No, because other people hear it too. But that's a whole other story. But she contacted me and she thought it was really interesting. And so we just kind of became best friends and sisters, and we're doing it.
We are. COVID happened, and yeah. All right, so I want to tell you guys a couple little stories about what made me believe, and then we're going to play some really interesting clips for you guys. including some brand new, never before seen footage that I was so excited about until I found out 2 days ago that it doesn't have any audio. So what was really cool and interactive between me and one of the child spirits at the lighthouse, there's no audio. You can't hear me saying, "Can you light that up blue?" and see him lighting it up blue. So we're gonna try to recreate that this season, hopefully, because I had literally I think there's 45 minutes of me down in the basement interacting with this kid, and he is setting off all this equipment on command. They will, yeah. We do have some cool footage of him with audio, but I was just so bummed because I was so stoked about this footage. I've never had so much intelligent response interaction. It was no audio. Anyway, we'll try again. So, 2017 was my first tour season. I was armed with a set of flashcards filled with historic facts about the Marquette Harbour Lighthouse because there's a lot to know history-wise. And the daytime tours don't focus on the paranormal at all. There's a little snippet where we talk about the most famous lighthouse ghost, a little girl. But I've never seen a little girl. And no kids had died at the lighthouse that we knew of at that time. You guys are gonna find something out brand new tonight. So, I would tell the story off the flashcards, but really, just part of the tour. So, end of 2017, it was my last day for tours. I think it was fall, it was October, we were just about to close. But anyway, it was windy, it was really windy. The waves were crashing. The people that came that day were having the full maritime experience. Like you should almost have the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald playing. It was that kind of stormy day. And we were talking about that. We could barely talk to each other out on the catwalk in front of the lighthouse. It was so windy. It was really cool. And at the beginning and the end of every tour, we leave the people outside the back door because fire regulations state that we have to have the front door, so at the bottom of the lighthouse tower, that front door has to be open when we take a tour in, because if they need an exit, 2 doors, yada yada. So we always leave the tour outside. We go in, we open that door, we secure it with a bungee cord to the tower spiral staircase, and then we trot back out and we get our people and we bring them in. End of the tour, they wait outside, we trot back in, we secure the door and trot back out, and we all walk down together. So we'd had a great tour. I went in to lock up, and this is when my first questionable experience happened. It was really windy still. I remember walking through the lighthouse thinking, man, I can hear the waves crashing, even inside. This is just so cool. Glad I'm not in a boat. And I get to the front door, I close the door, and I pick up the first of 2 2x4s that sit there that we used to bar said front door. And I'm putting the first one down, and at the top of the spiral staircase that goes up to the second floor and the light, there's a man door that goes onto the second floor of the lighthouse. At this point in my fledgling tour guide career, I have never been up to the second floor of the lighthouse because it's not part of the tour. And I'd never been nosy enough to go check it out on my own until that day. Anyway, I'm closing the door, and I hear that door at the top of the stairs creaking open, slowly. And my little brain's going, man, it's really windy if the wind is blowing up the tower and pushing that door open. Then my little brain's going, but the door's already closed down here. There's no wind. And all of a sudden, that door at the top of those tower stairs slammed so hard. I couldn't slam a door like that. Holy crow, it slammed. And I jumped. And I put that second 2x4 down with great haste, and I made my way at a rapid rate of speed out of that lighthouse. My little brain, that doesn't believe in ghosts at this point, going, what in the hell? That doesn't just happen. That door slammed this way. The wind would have been blowing this way. Wait, there's gotta be a window open up there, right? Because doors don't slam on their own without some sort of rational explanation. So I go trucking down to the Maritime Museum, and Hillary Billman, our director, is down there working the counter. And I blather out what just happened, and I say, there's gotta be a window open, Hillary. We gotta go back up and close it. And she looks at me. And she gives me this knowing smile. And I've seen this smile a lot in the last few years, and it's usually when I tell her something crazy. So now you guys are gonna think I'm crazy by the end of this too, and you're not wrong. It does sound a little odd. But anyway, Hillary says, come on, Susan. Let's go close that window. So this is not 5-10 minutes after the tour had come out. The lighthouse was locked when I left. So up we go, back up the 46 steps to the top of the lighthouse. And in we go, and we go up to the second floor, and the first thing I noticed when I got up there was I didn't want to be there. Like it just kind of felt uneasy. And I didn't know why. But anyway, we proceed room to room. I'm looking for the open window because doors don't slam by themselves. There's no windows open. And then the worst part of it for me was I got to that door that goes right out onto the tower steps. And the door that had slammed so violently shut a few minutes before was wide open. Wide open. And I was like, okay, well, must have been the wind. And out we went. Hillary's not saying too much, but what I really remember from that, other than I can't explain what just happened, and I'm questioning maybe there is something going on in this lighthouse, was that I really didn't feel good up there. It was uneasy. I wanted to leave, like kind of fight or flight up there. So that was the end of my first season as a tour guide. Along comes 2018. The city of Marquette started construction for Lighthouse Park. They built a beautiful parking lot and little driving loop by the Maritime Museum, a lovely parking lot for the lighthouse. Did you guys know that construction ramps up paranormal activity? Neither did I. So buckle up, folks, it's 2018. Oh my gosh. So this is when I just about quit. My nerves were shot by the end of 2018, and that's when I reached out to Trish because I couldn't take it anymore and I wanted to leave. From big crashes during a tour, and it always happened when I was downstairs in the lighthouse telling the flashcard ghost story about the little girl. That's when the big stuff would happen. So I'm thinking there's got to be something to that because things always seem to happen when I'm telling that. It would sound like somebody tipping over a big solid wood dresser. You know, if you tipped over a big piece of furniture in the big crash, like that, coming from the second floor of the lighthouse. I'd be in the middle of the ghost story and boom, and I'm like, holy crow. And I'd go up after the tour and I'd look and there's no furniture up there. It's vacant. There's nothing to tip over. I thought maybe pieces of ceiling are falling down because we were having some structural issues at that point. Nothing. So that happened a few times. One time it was a couple from Oklahoma on the tour and their house was really haunted. So I'm like, oh yeah, honey, we have stuff like that happen all the time. Okay, but there's no such thing as ghosts, folks. So I was still clinging to that at that point. 2018 brought a couple people being physically affected on my tours as well. And I don't think I have publicly discussed this before. I do tell this on the paranormal tour, and I'm going to tell you guys tonight. And nobody has been physically affected since we said stop touching the people. So, disclaimer, nothing has happened. But this was broad daylight, daytime tours, and both were middle-aged women. And it happened 2 weeks apart. I was the Tuesday tour guide in 2018. Tuesday, random Tuesdays. The first lady, I remember she was wearing like capri leggings and like a sporty quarter zip, like she just got up and walked 5 miles in the morning and had her yogurt. Like this lady was slim and fit looking. And she was there with her husband and she was on the 11 a.m. tour. But you know those people that just look fit and sporty? She was one of them. And we're doing our thing and it's warm out, but it's not like hot. It's not stuffy hot. So not gonna pass out from the heat hot is what I'm saying. So we get downstairs to the winch room where we have the ghostly footprints. If you guys haven't been to the lighthouse, you need to come for a visit. And I'm telling the flashcard ghost story. And this lady's looking at me and her eyes got weird. And when I say weird, like they just kind of got wide and her gaze kind of got flat. And this lady went over like a tree in the forest. Timber. Over, like, not a crumple faint, like it was like, boom, and I thought she was dead. I called 911 from the basement. I was having a fit. And then she came to, and she sat up, so I hung up. Don't hang up on 911. They're gonna call you right back. Marquette Central Dispatch, they're real good at what they do. So I called down to Hillary, I said, can you bring up a bottle of water? This guest just, I think it's the heat. All I can think is lawsuit, right? Like, oh my Lord, I don't know what happened. She had breakfast. She'd never fainted before. What really caught me off guard was when she told me she didn't remember coming downstairs in the lighthouse. And I'm like, oh my God, this is creepy. Okay, let's go. Wrapped up the tour. Nothing finishes a tour faster than somebody passing out. Done. Okay, on to the next tour. 2 weeks later, same point in the tour. It was hotter this day, so this could be heat related. I'm not discounting that. It does get really hot in that lighthouse. Another middle-aged lady, she was there with her adult children and her husband. Same spot in downstairs. I'm telling the flashcard ghost story. And she didn't timber, thank God, because that was just hard on my nerves. Not like it's all about me, but I can't take a lot of that. She crumple fainted, and down she went. And her husband looks at me and he says, "Does your ghost attack people often?" I said, "Sir, you don't actually believe in ghosts, do you? We just tell this story for the tourists. There's no such thing." And my brain's going, "Oh God, lawsuit." "Hillary, we should start stocking some water up here at the lighthouse." So I went back into lockup that day. This is the part where you're gonna think I'm crazy. And I was questioning my own sanity too. I went in there and I was mad. You gotta stop touching people. I'm like, they're not gonna come back if you keep knocking people out. You know, nobody's gonna wanna come here because they're gonna be scared of you. We're not gonna raise any money. We can't fix your ceiling and you're gonna have nowhere to haunt. And that was my rant. And I locked the door and I left. And I'm like, I just talked to nothing. Wow. This is what it's come to. Maybe there is such a thing as ghosts. So I went up for the next tour and I'm like, "I'm sorry I yelled." I'm walking. "I'm sorry I yelled, but I was just upset. You can't do that. We've got to stop touching people." Crazy as it was. Anyway, that's fine. My nerves are a little rattled after this because weird stuff keeps happening. I heard footsteps up there one day. I was with another tour guide named Shannon. And we'd gone up on a tour together and we're on the main floor and we hear somebody walking above us and we're talking big, heavy, booted footsteps like a man, you know, heavy stepping one end to the other. And I'm like, "Well, who the hell is in here trespassing?" I get out my cell phone and I turn it on video and I went upstairs because I'm going to tell this guy to get out. Not supposed to be up there, didn't even see him sneak in. So fun fact at that point, the slamming door at the top of the spiral staircase has been tied to the railing. So the only way from up and down onto the second floor is the back stairwell that I am right now going up with my phone because I'm mad. I'm gonna tell this person to get out. I get up there and it's that same uneasy feeling. I don't really want to be up here, and I'm going room to room and I'm looking behind doors. I'm looking in closets because I heard you walking. I know you're here somewhere. There's nobody up there. And we heard them. Those footsteps were loud. So I come downstairs and I said to Shannon, "There's nobody up there." She's like, "I think I heard footsteps last week too." I'm like, okay. So back to these photos on the wall of the original lighthouse. And so it's getting harder and harder for me to not believe in ghosts at this point. But the icing on the cake for me was the end of my 2018 tour season. And this is when I was so scared, I contacted Trish because I was ready to quit. If I had $1 for every time I have run out of that lighthouse in the last few years swearing I was never coming back, I probably have about $5. But there's been a few little scares. But this was awful. This was rude. And it was rude. It was the end of the tour and I'd gone in to secure that front tower door again, like a good volunteer. And it was a hot day and there was no wind. I wish there would have been some wind. It was one of those days where your sweat is sweating, like it's just humid and awful. And I closed the front door and I'm reaching for that first 2x4 and it got cold. It was like I was standing in a meat locker. And I kind of just froze because I'm like, am I going to pass out? Am I fainting? Is my blood sugar low? You know? And it's almost, to describe the air, it was almost like it was electric, like tingly was the sensation. And I'm standing there like a deer in the headlights because I don't know what the hell's going on. And it's tingly, it's ice cold. I'm reaching for that second 2x4 and that is when I felt the finger on my neck. I had my hair in a ponytail and it was like an icy finger dragging down my neck slowly. And I remember this. I remember exactly what I said. I said, "Oh, hell no. No." And I slammed down that 2x4 and I ran. You have never seen a plus size woman move that fast. Usain Bolt could not have caught me hauling it out of that lighthouse. I was cooking, let me tell you. I think I left my tour, actually. I think I beat them down the stairs. Thanks for coming. See, you gotta go back. Oh my God, was I scared. So I practically kicked in the museum door and, "Hillary!" And she's giving me that knowing smile that she does. She doesn't say "you're nuts," which bless you for that, all these years of crazy stories. But so I went home rattled. I'm gonna contact Tap-Paranormal. I'm done. I don't want to go back in there. Something touched me and there was nobody there. So I'm penning a nice Facebook message to Trish. I'd seen Uber Paranormal speak at the Ishpeming Library the summer before, and they were awesome, talking about some of their adventures. So I'd sent that message, and then I get a Facebook message from Shannon, one of our other volunteers, the very next day. Hillary had told her to message me after her tour when the exact same thing happened to her up at the lighthouse. Now, Shannon's a bigger gal as well, so I'm thinking maybe this ghost has a thing for the plus size ladies. He obviously thinks we're hot. She was pretty freaked out as well. Later on, I think it was the following summer, one of Trisha's friends, a medium, read The Lighthouse, and that particular keeper said that he was trying to push us down the stairs and that he thought it was funny. I was so offended. All this time I thought you thought I was hot, but apparently it's rude. So I reached out to Trish and she messaged right back. She didn't say you're crazy. She said, I'm gonna come and I'm going to...
I honestly did not think there was anything there, because it's a lighthouse. How?
Right.
Who's gonna be haunting a lighthouse, you know? But trust me, lots of ghosts in that lighthouse. Not wrong. Anyway, so she contacted me, and like I said, went in there, walked around, got the icky feels, did some EVP stuff. We set up recorders everywhere throughout wherever we're investigating. Got some crazy EVPs that I was just like, wow, this place is like, no wonder they have like people not wanting to work there. But yeah, it really is it's an amazing place. Yes, it's super haunted, but to someone like me, I love it. I love the ghosts there. Yeah.
Should we keep rolling?
Yeah.
All right, now that I'm not dry anymore. All right, so a little history of the Marquette Harbour Lighthouse. The lighthouse that we see standing on the rock today is not the original Marquette Lighthouse. The original was built in 1853. It was a separate house and a tower structure made primarily of wood, and it lasted less than 10 years. So this right here, beautiful lighthouse, was built in 1866, and this is the one that you see today. Originally it was beige. This is the schoolhouse style of lighthouse. The second story was added on in 1910, and I believe that it was 1965 when it received its first coat of heartthrob red paint, which turned it into a one-of-a-kind on the Great Lakes. And our beautiful, iconic Marquette Lighthouse that we all love to see pictures of. I love it so much I wear it on the back of my shirt. So pop me another slide here, Hillary. What else have we got? We're gonna give this back to Trish, and she's gonna tell you guys about some of her equipment that she uses up at the lighthouse.
By this time, you should know all this equipment, Susan. It is. Okay, so I'm gonna start with the first thing I ever bought, the K2 meter. If you're not serious about investigating, get one, go through haunted locations, you get hits on it. Not that exciting. The Ovilus over here has a database of, I don't know, maybe 5,000 words in it. And you know it's pretty relevant when they're giving you words like, if you're sitting in the lighthouse and it says lighthouse, or her name or my name, those aren't generally in there. So that's when we feel like they're communicating with us. The necrophonic thing on the bottom there, it's an app for the phone. A lot of people, you know, don't like the phone apps. They don't think they work. I've had success with it, so I mean, words would come through, sentences come through, what you're seeing, like I'll affect the lights, or a name that was affiliated with the family. Yeah. So that I use it, but you know, it's not scientific. It's just an app. And then the spirit box, it works like kind of a broken radio, and you get words and phrases through that. It's like white noise, and we've had success with that. They've said names of people that, you know, are in the group at the lighthouse. The SLS camera y'all probably know the Xbox sensor bar, familiar with it. From what I understand, when they first came out with that, people were seeing stick figures standing next to them. So somebody got it in their head that, hey, maybe it's picking up a ghost. And so they made this thing called the SLS. We've used it and we've caught stick figures. And we'd ask them, can you wave at us? They'll wave. So, I mean, I think it works, and we do have video that we will be showing you. The Envoy, up in the corner there, that's my newest piece of equipment. It does, they have to literally tap the letters to spell something. They can use emojis, there's numbers, and I'm trying to think, there's one more thing that's on there, but yes, it'll answer yes and no questions. Now, I used it at the lighthouse, and there is a resident ghost there. She goes by Eliza, or we've always known her to be Eliza, but she was, her given name was Anastasia, and I believe Eliza was her middle name, or Elizabeth or something.
It's a nickname.
Nickname, okay. So I was alone and I was sitting on the stairs and I asked her, I said, Eliza, I said, do you want to be called Anastasia or Eliza? She typed out L-I-Z. And I was just amazed because I thought, somebody typed it and, does she want me to call her Liz? It was interesting. Boo Buddy, we usually use him where there are child spirits, and he says phrases. If there is a spirit around him, especially if it's a child, it has like the clapping game or the knocking game, or
My name's Blue Buddy, what's yours?
yeah, he'll say, did you make it hot in here? Did you make it cold in here? Yeah, how old are you? So we put him out there a lot because we do know there's at least one child spirit there. The tripwire and the paralight, they kind of come together. I use them together. And you'll see the tripwire down here. That goes off a lot at the lighthouse. If there's a spirit, they'll light it up. And we have had them light it up. We'll say, can you hold it at a blue color? And it will. We'll ask little David, can you run down the string of lights? Next thing you know, all the lights are going on. Same with the paralight, it'll go off at the same exact time, which tells me that there is something to it if they're setting off both pieces of equipment. And then there's like random equipment. I use cat balls. Don't let anybody tell you that these are ghost balls. They're just cat balls. We set them on the floor. I mean, literally, they sell them for like $10 at the ghost Terracons and stuff. I'm like, it's a cat ball. I can get one for $2. But theory is that they will, when they touch it, it vibrates, and so it sets off the lights. What else? The REM pod. It's really annoying, so I'm not going to turn it on. Susan's going to do it. It's so annoying, especially if you get a ghost that really likes it. There's at some point you're going, could you please step away from it, because it. When it's doing that for like an hour, you're sick of it. You're like, could you stop? Just stop. It's like your kids, Could you stop touching it? And then this is, you want to pull these out real quick?
Oh, it's not going to stop either.
No, it's not going to stop. I'm sure everyone here has heard of dowsing rods. They originally used to use them for water or something. I don't know. I'm going to try that out sometime. But, they've been around for centuries, and we try to use them once in a while just to see.
Really? Okay, I've not been those guys.
There's probably water here. I mean, come on. But we pull them out once in a while and try them. And whether or not they work, I don't know. But we feel like we've gotten responses. Huh?
Ask them to uncross the rods.
Can you uncross the rods, please? No. Oh.
I am not moving these, you guys.
But I mean, we try to sit in a position where you literally are so frozen still, your arms get sore because you don't want to have anybody in the group say, well, you're obviously moving them. You know, it's really hard to say whether or not they work for that reason. But I feel we've got responses with it. Just saying.
Yeah, okay.
That's okay. Yeah. I'm glad we don't have the teddy bear here because that thing's freaky when it goes off. Trish usually puts a recorder by that. She puts little voice recorders, like just the kind you buy at Staples or, Office Max, throughout the lighthouse during every tour. And some of our coolest EVP evidence has been captured on those recorders when nobody was around. And some of the EVPs that we've picked up, I would not have been there if I had heard that with my ears at the time. So we'll advance the slide here, and I believe that we have some nifty fancy lantern. Can you light that up too?
You can touch the lantern, it seems to be working now.
Trying to get both the lantern and the tripwire lights in here, and you, all in the same frame.
There you go.
There we go, good job.
There you go.
Can you light up the tripwire again? You guys seem to really like that tonight. Yeah, good job. Awesome.
Yeah, it's lighting up
The lantern too?
at the same time, kind of.
What time is it? It is 8:32 here in the Eastern Time Zone.
Is everybody on the couch?
Now you guys know I'm
Yeah.
like the worst videographer ever. It's
Yeah,
not
we're
good.
getting crazy amounts of activity down here with these tripwire lights tonight.
And now they seem to be wanting to play with the lantern since I changed the
The
setting.
location, yes.
So that's the tripwire and the paralight. The ghost of the little boy up at the lighthouse. He is my favorite ghost, and I know you're not supposed to probably have a favorite, but I totally do. He loves that tripwire, and so anytime you hear me sounding like a weirdo in a video going, "Good job," I'm assuming it's the kid down there playing, and all little kids like to be cheered on when they're doing something cool. So this gentleman is our, I would say, biggest, most impressive paranormal resident at the lighthouse, second assistant keeper Adam Byron Sales. And he is the only person that we know of that passed away inside the lighthouse. He passed away on the second floor in his bedroom from a cardiac event. And he is very active up there. He's still working. He doesn't like the tours. He doesn't like women. And yeah, not a big fan of tourists at all because it's interrupting his workday. And I mean, I would be annoyed too if people were traipsing through my tidy lighthouse and I was trying to do my job. But he does understand that we need to fix plaster and that we needed to fix the ceiling on the second floor. So we have a great working relationship with Keeper Sales. We said, hey, back in the late 1800s, he was there much later than that, but as an example of what people were making, in the late 1800s, a keeper was making $400 a year. An assistant keeper was making $250 a year. So I'm saying, these folks are coming up for a paranormal tour. They're paying $25 each for like an hour. So walk around, slam a door, touch someone's hand, talk to us a little bit. Help us help you.
You get upset with
Yeah. Help us help you. And then they're going to go tell their friends who are going to come because they think it's cool. They're going to spend $25 and we're going to have that ceiling fixed before you know it. This winter, we got the ceiling fixed. So we finally got there. We're super excited about that. And I haven't been up to the lighthouse since it got fixed. I have tried a couple of times in the last 2 weeks to reach the contractors that did the ceiling repair because I wanted to talk to them. I wanted to see how that went on the second floor of the lighthouse for a month or however long they were up there. What happened? Anything weird? Nobody's returned my calls. So, is this like a, we're not talking about it? Maybe they had music cranked up and maybe he left them alone because they were, fixing and he was happy with that. But I've seen Coast Guard guys run out of the second floor of that lighthouse. Run. So, I wonder why nobody's calling me back. I'll try again. Anyway, so Keeper Sales is a big presence up there. And if we could, we have some audio actually we're gonna play here as well. Hillary made me these wonderful notes.
Repeat it, please.
Okay, we're gonna play that one more time.
can't talk, Susan.
I know.
Remember it? Repeat it, please.
All right, did you guys hear somebody saying, I said no? That's the EVP. We'll play it one more time.
Remember it? Repeat it, please.
We asked him to repeat what we call a secret word. Right before the tour, we pick a secret word. We tell all the ghosts what it is. Later on in the tour, we'll ask them what it is. He didn't want to tell us, apparently.
We have got EVPs of him saying his name. Keeper Sales, what was your first name? And we've got Adam. We asked him how he died, and we got Hart. We also asked him what his sons' names were, and we got his sons' names one night too. So if he's in the mood, and if we've told his story appropriately, he'll talk. But you kind of have to lead up to that with some major flattery.
Remember it?
Oh, all right. So here we have a floor plan. When I'm talking about that front tower door, that's that right there. Keeper Sales' bedroom is on the second floor of the lighthouse. So when you're out in front and you're looking at it, it is the left side upper second floor window. And interestingly enough, people have got pictures with the figure in that window. The little girl, the ghost of the little girl, the flashcard story that I was telling you guys about, we've had people see this little girl out on the catwalk. We've had people see her in the stairwell. Just last summer, Hillary had was it a wedding group? People that were in town for a wedding. They were up there for a daytime tour with Hillary, and there was a child, a 3-year-old little girl, in their party, and that little girl said she was playing with a little girl in a pink dress, but had no face. And the little girl went up on the roof and disappeared. Hell no. So Hillary called me at work and told me this, and I'm like, yeah, we've got a paranormal tour tonight. I'm gonna tell that story. I've never seen the little girl with no face, and I would like to keep it that way. So, my youngest son has seen a child upstairs in the lighthouse. He's also seen a full body apparition of a big man in a uniform down in the basement. And my son is 6'5". So for him to say this guy was huge, Mom, he's huge. So we have one of our volunteers, Della. Stand up for me, Della. Wave to the folks. Della! Della does our sunset tours, and she had a guest last year see the same gentleman, full body apparition, on an evening tour down in the basement in the same spot. So he's around. It's interesting. My son won't go in the lighthouse anymore. He used to work security for us, and he doesn't want to anymore. Trish's son, who does not want me to point him out tonight, he was up there with his mom and some of her paranormal group friends from Wisconsin this year, and they heard an audible woman scream. They've got that recorded. It's actually, I think it happened on Facebook Live. Yep. On the Uber Paranormal page. But he heard that scream, and he made his...
Can we point out that he didn't say, Mom, I heard a scream, or I heard a noise. He came over, Trish, I heard a noise. So I knew he was scared because he didn't say Mom.
And in his defense, I would be scared too. I have run out of that lighthouse. He stayed. Dude, you're braver than I am, because I've run before very quickly. But anyway, we have got some more audio for you. So what you guys are hearing, we're going to play this a few times. This was a recorder that was going during a tour. I think we were in the room next to it. And you're going to hear somebody kind of in the background screaming, "Get out!" All right? Did you guys hear that? You want to hear it one more time? If I would have heard "get out" at the time, I would have got out. Just saying. That, in my opinion, is the coolest EVP that we've ever caught, just randomly. I don't know who it is, screaming "get out." Is it Keeper Sales? So children in the lighthouse, up until this winter, we did not have a record of any child passing in the lighthouse. So we didn't know who this little girl was. But we've got some new information. So this season's gonna be really exciting as we pursue this. But we do have a little boy named David, as far as we're aware, that is pretty active up at the lighthouse. And David, and this information I'm giving you was passed on to us by mediums that have read at the lighthouse that didn't even know they were reading a lighthouse. They were reading remotely, which is really bizarre to me. I don't know how that works, but super cool. Telling us that he drowned nearby when he was 2. And that was the closest building nearby where he drowned, and he just kind of attached there, and it was quick, it was traumatic, and we're not even sure he knows he's dead, and it's awful. But we get EVPs of him singing, and he loves to play with the toys that Trish brings, and anytime we have time to sit down and kind of interact with him, he's very into that. We have some footage of David that we're going to share with you guys tonight. He showed up on the SLS camera for us a couple of years ago, and it just happened to be on Facebook Live, and I'd love to say that because good luck debunking this, folks, because it happened on Facebook Live. And no one was more surprised than we were when it happened.
A couple stick figures.
That's pretty cool. Hey, David, come stand by me, please. Will you come hold my hand so we can get a picture together? Pick a hand. I'll hold them both out. You can stand wherever you want. Oh my God.
Yep, he's right there. Little stick figure, your right hand.
Trish, camera.
Left.
Oop. Is it your left?
It's her
Lift up
left
your hand, your right hand.
My right hand?
Okay, lift up your left. Yep, he's right by your left side.
Can you grab my hand, little man?
He's right up next to you.
He did.
My hand feels cold. We're gonna get a picture together.
He's like right up next to you.
Good. He hangs around me quite often. We were singing earlier.
Can you wave to me and Trish, David?
Can you wave, David? Can you wave at us?
Oh, it looked like he did.
Yeah, he's putting his hand up. He's putting his arm up.
I can't wait to see this video. I'm excited. I'm gonna wave to Trish too. Nice work.
He's still there.
I'm gonna get
But that bigger one is like.
How cool is that? So that's the Xbox Connect technology that Trish was talking about earlier with that SLS camera. Yeah, we've had some cool stuff show up, but the SLS is really heavy. So if you mule that thing around for a little while, your forearm is falling off. So we don't use it a whole pile anymore. This next EVP clip is, or not EVP, I guess, this was a Spirit Box session that Trish was doing. And my son, Rowan, and that's an unusual name. That's not a name that's gonna pop out of an app or on a radio frequency. My son, Rowan, was outside. He was working security for us back when he still loved us and wasn't scared to come in the lighthouse. But this is kind of cool because it's naming, it's intelligent response.
What's the name of the guy that's upstairs?
Mom.
Same here as mom.
Kelly, can we have ghost sound?
What's her son's name?
Oh, the guy that's upstairs. Duh. Yeah, that is my son upstairs. Okay, took me like 5 minutes to catch on. You're right, thank you. Apparently I need coffee. Sorry.
What's his name?
Rowan. Thank you, that's right. So, the audio is not fantastic in here, but we appreciate the Ore Dock and everything they're doing to give us a little bit more volume. All of these videos are available on Uber Paranormal if you want to listen to them again and again and really hear that isolated Rowan. It was pretty clear when you hear it directly. This is my favorite audio ever. The secret word game that Trish talked about, we like to do this. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes we get ghosted during our tours because they're not in the mood. Right? The jokes are free, guys. There you go. So we tell the ghosts when we go up, you know, what the secret word is going to be. It was lilac, I think. One day it was sausage, you know, just a random, unusual word. Well, this particular Friday night, the name or the word that we used was nubs, N-U-B-S, and that was the name of my dog that had passed away the week before. And I was up there before the tour telling the ghosts that my dog died, and I was like, it was confession time. We had a big old talk. And then I went down to get the tour, and I told the tour down at the museum, we're gonna play a secret word game tonight with the ghosts. We've already told the ghosts what the word is. I'm gonna tell you guys down here, and the word is nubs. My dog passed away this week, then the poor tour had to hear about all of that. Still can't talk about it. Anyway, this is what happened during the tour on Facebook Live.
Okay, so Susan and I gave you a secret word earlier. Can anyone repeat that secret word? Remember we told you to remember that word? What's the secret word?
Nubs. Oh my God, you guys, thank you. Nubs. Okay, so for anybody watching live at home right now, I'm gonna step out here just so you guys can hear me for just a second. So we did a secret word earlier when we came in, and we told the spirits of the lighthouse what the secret word was gonna be. And I lost my dog this week. My dog passed away, and her name was Nubs, N-U-B-S, and that's an unusual name and not a common word. And so that was our secret word this evening. And we asked if they would repeat the secret word for us later on during the tour, and the word was Nubs. And as you guys just heard from the spirit box, we asked what the secret word was, and the spirits of Marquette Harbour Lighthouse just said Nubs. So for those of you that don't believe in the paranormal, that's pretty hard to debunk. I love it when it happens on live. So that night, we had them say Nubs 3 other times in the lighthouse in different spots, doing EVP and stuff. And even up till last year, sometimes they won't play the secret word game or they won't communicate, and I can say, what's the name of my dog that passed away a few years ago? And they'll say Nubs. So it's very intelligent response up there if they're in the mood, but sometimes they're not, and I get that. Anyway, I'm going to give the mic back to Trish, and she's going to tell you guys a little bit about Sixth Sense Paranormal and Chain of Lakes Paranormal, friends of hers that came to visit us this past summer.
Okay, so Sixth Sense Paranormal, they are from Wisconsin, and they came up in 2023. Kevin, the gentleman there, he set up some cameras and EVP stuff, right? Well, his cameras lost their audio, so everything that he got, you can see it, but you can't hear it. But it was some really interesting stuff. Chain of Lakes is also from Wisconsin. They came up last summer. They're the ones who were with us when we got the scream. Before that, they were in the back room, in what we call the life jacket room, or the whatever room that has the life jackets in it. And they were doing a spirit box session, and there was a gentleman calling them all kinds of nasty names. Sometimes we get that. They don't want to be talked to. They're like, if I be mean to you, you'll leave, but we don't. But this is a light anomaly that was captured. You'll see it up in that corner. Again, we don't have audio, but you can see it. That was probably a bug. The light anomaly is totally different. Right there. It comes out of like the wall.
Let's see if I can do it again.
Okay. It's like it manifested and came right through the wall. I know. I can do audio. It's Susan. She's sitting there going, oh gosh, I'm really bored. I wish I didn't have to sit here.
It was there.
Yeah. But we get that quite a bit with haunted places. For whatever reason, you'll see something literally come out of a wall, and it will be in a shape like, I don't really believe in orbs. I think a lot of orbs are just bugs, lens flare, things like that. But when you get a strange shaped anomaly and it comes out of a wall, to me, that's just, it's different. Kind of cool.
So this is part of the 45 minutes I had while Sixth Sense Paranormal was upstairs doing their thing. I took a lawn chair downstairs to hang out with David and all the cool equipment because for once I didn't have a tour. I was gonna play and see if we could get anything. And I had the most amazing interaction with him, and it went on, and I thought we had audio. So this isn't cool at all without the audio, but he was setting off that tripwire. When I asked him to, he would set off a particular light. He would make it a particular color The REM pod, he was lighting it up when I asked. He was making it buzz when I asked, can you do it again? And he would, and we just went back and forth. And everything he did, I was freaking out clapping. And all we have is me clapping on video, and you can't hear what I'm saying. But it was a really neat interaction. So we're gonna try to recreate that this spring as soon as we can get up there with the cell phone, and we'll do it on live so you can't debunk it. But he really was in on the one-on-one. And I know this makes me sound crazy, I'm aware. So I'm probably saying something like, can you light up the tripwire? And I'm clapping and... Yeah, this would be so much cooler with audio. Yay. Sorry, guys. Until 2 days ago, I thought we had audio and we were just waiting for them to send it. But Kevin, if you are watching, thank you so much for taking time on your day off to clip these videos. It is super cool. We can't wait for you guys to come back and visit us again. So we'll advance to the next slide. Okay, one of our primary ghosts. This lady, Eliza Truckee, and her husband, Nelson, they were with the original lighthouse before the big brick one. So they were part of the one with the separate house and the tower structure. And I have got a whole bunch of new information that I am going to cheat and use my notes on, because this past fall, we were contacted by Nelson and Eliza's great-great-granddaughters, because they had heard that their grandmother is part of the paranormal stuff at the lighthouse, and they wanted more info because they've been doing paranormal research. And anyway, a little bit of backstory. The Truckee family moved to Marquette from Detroit in 1860 for reasons unknown. Nelson Truckee was an ornamental house painter at that point. He was hired as the lighthouse keeper in 1861, and the family moved into the lighthouse with 7 children at that point. 7. Their oldest son, Felix, moved to Marquette with the family, but he didn't live with them at the lighthouse. He was older, he was out on his own. So Nelson decided to answer the call to join the Union Army to fight in the Civil War in 1862, leaving Eliza as the acting keeper of Marquette Lighthouse with a newborn baby, 3 children under the age of 10 and 3 over the age of 10. Bless his heart. Nelson, off he went. He returned in 1865, and they did have more kids after that, so she was evidently still talking to him. I would not have lasted a week in Eliza's footsteps. Imagine hauling fuel oil up that tower to that light. They had to trim the wick every 2 hours for maximum light output. She had to log how much fuel was used, what traffic came into the harbor. She, at the crack of dawn, would have to draw the curtains around that lens to protect it from the sun's rays so she could then go downstairs and start her record keeping. And you know those kids are up by then. She's hauling water from the lake. I never would have spoken to Nelson again. Just saying. Oh, gosh. When Nelson returned, he had been injured. We'd heard he'd taken a musket ball to the leg, so he was unable to resume his duties as the lighthouse keeper. He couldn't do the steps anymore. And even though Eliza had been doing the job as acting keeper for several years and doing it perfectly, the U.S. Lighthouse Service told her that a woman cannot possibly be a lighthouse keeper, right? And they gave the job to a man. And the Truckees screwed it up anyway. The Truckees left the lighthouse, but they remained in Marquette until after 1870, when they returned to the Detroit area. So it was July of this past year when the Truckee great-great-granddaughters contacted us. They'd done quite a bit of family research, and they had made some interesting discoveries, one of which is a game changer for us. They informed us that the Truckees had a daughter named Genevieve who died while they lived in the lighthouse. Yeah, and when she passed, she would have been between 6 and 10 years old. Hello, little girl in the old-fashioned dress. So I'm not excited that a child died in the lighthouse, but this lines up with what we've been seeing and hearing all these years. So I am going to, we have a family tree that has been made. These are some census records, but Hillary, our director, is going to come up and walk us through this Truckee family tree because she's been doing all sorts of research.
I'm going to stay seated.
I'm going to take the mic to Hillary. She doesn't want to come up.
I'm just going to stay seated to talk about this, but this was a deep black hole of research, this family tree, and I loved every second of it. But what we used to think that the Truckies were in the lighthouse with just 4 children under the age of 10, and we didn't know about anybody dying or any of this stuff. So these are all of their children. So they were married in 1843. The children that are in the orange are ones that died before they made it to Marquette. Genevieve is the one there in the blue, 1854. We know she died somewhere between 1861 and 1864 because there's paperwork in 1865 that doesn't mention her name anymore, but she was on the 1860 Marquette census. Barney Truckee and Jessie Truckee are twins. And then Frances Truckee Shanley, aka Emma, is the great-great-grandmother of the 4 women that got in touch with us this past summer. And then there were actually 2 children that were born in the lighthouse. We thought there was just one. So Lewis was born in 1861, right when they started, and Eliza must have just gotten pregnant when Nelson left because Adolphus, aka Pete, was born in 1863.
And off he went to war. Convenient. Anyway, Trish and I had the pleasure of meeting with the Truckee great-great-granddaughters. We took them up on a private tour, and it was amazing. We got to take some photos of them out on the catwalk. Interestingly enough, the envoy that Trish was telling you guys about earlier, where Eliza was typing out her name for Trish the one night, wouldn't work when they were up there. The freshly charged battery was dying. I flipped on the Spirit Talker app on my phone. I had just come from work. I had no gear with me, nothing. And it was just going to be a quick trip up there. But we got this list of words during the time that app was running, having no idea that Joseph was actually the name of one of the Truckies' kids until way later when we had an email from one of the great-great-granddaughters. So that was relevant. That was kind of cool. I thought the We Like Your Equipment and What Are the Lights was pretty neat as well. It did mention the battery as well as the envoy was dying. So that was kind of neat. I'll Affect the Lights was relevant because the basement lights were flickering at that point. We were just bummed because we were really hoping Eliza was going to be there and communicate with them through the envoy. But we've been told by mediums that she's not there all the time, but she does come in visitation. I thought that beer was for me. I was so excited. It's okay. They don't let me have beer. Anyway, it was really neat to meet them. It was such an honor. We've actually had one of Keeper Sale's grandsons visit us too. And he had no idea that his grandfather was part of the paranormal tour. The lady that checked him in at the hotel, when she saw his last name, she's like, "Are you related to the ghost at the lighthouse?" And we're like, "Oh, that just got awkward." So he came for a private tour as well. He's quite the character. He sent us some neat photos and stuff as well. So that was really interesting. So now that we know that Genevieve passed away, historically the name of the little girl ghost, she's been called Jessie. They had a daughter named Jessie as well. But Jenny would be a nickname for Genevieve, most likely. Jenny, Jessie, kind of similar. See where I'm going with this. This summer, I think we're going to be pretty focused on maybe this is why Eliza's back to visit all the time. We're going to try to find out how she died. We're going to try to find out where she's buried. And stay tuned. Come for a paranormal tour. Watch Super Paranormal. We're gonna post everything that we unearth. So, paranormal tours kick off in May. We usually do one a month. The tickets are pre-sold. Hillary will announce them on Facebook, and you can call the Maritime Museum to secure your spot. We don't guarantee activity, obviously, because we can't, but it's very rare that we have somebody leave disappointed. There's usually something pretty cool going on. We can also do private paranormal investigations, but we need a minimum group of 10. So if you guys, have a work group, you want to do something fun and unusual for team building, we'll scare the socks right off you. Give us a call. 18 or older, that's important. We don't let kids on the paranormal tours. Children are more subject to attachment than adults, and I don't want anybody's little one going home with anything. So, not to make this sound scary, but this is the real deal, folks. We're not making this up. So what else have we got, Hillary? Is that questions? Does anybody have? I see a hand. Go with it. Does the ceiling repair mean that the tours will be upstairs? Yes! I know, I'm so excited too. For the very first time since I have been on board, You guys are gonna get upstairs in the lighthouse this year. Are you gonna wanna stay up there? I'm guessing not. Because Keeper Sales doesn't seem to like it when people are up there and he'll run you off, but go on up, have a look. We're working on a pulley system to open the trap door to the light as well. So we're hoping to have the light accessible very soon too. So if you've ever wanted to see the light, this is our pulley system creator right here on the stool. Yes. Anyway, that's coming too. So very exciting. Questions? More questions? Yes.
Alright, so this goes back to when I was a kid. Oh my god, it was probably when I was 10 maybe. Walked into a house, kind of got this like, where I felt like I grew, kind of like they call it an Alice in Wonderland syndrome experience, kind of a thing. And I've experienced throughout my adult life is that kind of like a paranormal kind of thing, because it has prevented us from buying certain homes because I feel it in certain areas.
Yeah. So I work in real estate. Fun fact. Did you know, folks, that in Michigan, you don't legally have to disclose that a house is haunted? But you can take Trish with you on your showing. And she'll tell you. We were just in one last week, actually, and we were looking at each other like, oh. So, yeah, that's for real. We've walked into houses, too, and I've never had the Alice in Wonderland kind of feeling you're talking about, but I don't like it when something's looking at me.
No, it's like, it's weird. It's kind of like you grow into the space that you're in, like everything kind of like surrounds you, and I don't know. That's like when, when Alice in Wonderland, when Alice...
Do you work in real estate?
I
feel like you should.
I want to go on a true paranormal investigation because I feel like I have other things that I will disclose if I ever go on this, like that I've experienced in my life, because I don't want it to be, I don't know what the right word is, no, more like fed into like what I feel.
Right, yeah, you're intuitive by the sounds of it.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. Like,
You're probably either you have mediumship abilities, or like she said, you're an intuitive. I meet a lot of people doing what I do that pick up on stuff. I have people that came here tonight that they pick up on things, and they've told me, God, I walked in this house and I knew I had to get out right away. And it's everybody, they say everybody has it, and I tend to agree. You have to be very, very open to it to communicate with them.
Can you lose it as you get older? Kind of like that whole like Santa
You can turn it off. You can sort of turn it off. Like what happens is if you're open to it, you'll have it your whole life. But if you're open to it, then you're gonna have those experiences. If you shut it down, you're not gonna have those experiences. And it depends on what you want to do. So.
Super cool. Questions? Anybody? Oh, come on. Yes, ma'am.
So now that you know all this about yourself and this is what you do, can you forget about it when you go home?
Sometimes I take something home with me.
Right.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool, and I could probably do some of this, but then I want to be able to go home and say, okay,
Right.
that's over there, and now my life is
Yeah.
normal.
People, when we leave the lighthouse after the tours, we tell people, you can say it in your head, you can say it out loud. No one is allowed to follow me home. No one is allowed to attach to me. And it's like any other place. But you can go to the grocery store and there's going to be a ghost there that likes you. It's like, hey, I'm going to go home with her. And
I didn't know that.
yes. And
Get an attachment at Walmart.
yep. and probably not the kind you want. Oh my gosh, it is going up.
Notice the tripwire is going ham right now down here. It's somebody from Walmart. That's neat. Okay. That was so. This lady was asking about attachments. Like, can we forget about this when we go home from the lighthouse? Typically, yes, absolutely. We're tired usually after a tour because it does take a lot of your energy. But there has been times when I've gone home and there's been lights flickering on and off, and I will say, unless you're paying the power bill, you can knock it right off. There was something crashing around in my basement one night. I sent my son and his friend down there with baseball bats because it sounded like there was somebody down there. There wasn't. And again, if you're gonna follow me home, do some housework. Make yourself useful. They don't stick around long. My life's not very exciting. But yeah, we've never had anybody, have a horrible attachment or anything to that effect. But you can get an attachment anywhere, really.
So, why are they still there? I mean,
That's an excellent question. Why are they still
Are
there?
they in purgatory, or are they waiting for
Well,
something?
that's kind of what we're trying to figure out,
Yeah.
actually. We're trying to figure out, every time we go in there, I usually spend an hour alone with them, and I'll sit down and talk to them, and I'll ask them, what is it that keeps you here? Or they don't tell you exactly, but sometimes, like with Keeper Sales, when we asked how he passed away, he said, my heart. He loved that lighthouse, so I would assume that's why he's staying. They either loved it there, it was the last place that they had happiness maybe, but we don't know 100% for sure. It's not, like I said, it's not scientific, it's basically all based on theory, but some of them are really good theories.
So that brings me to another question. People have died everywhere.
Right.
In houses everywhere, lighthouses, homes, basements, but they're not all haunted. I mean, otherwise you'd be feeling it everywhere. There would be people here.
Right. I do believe that there's spirits all over the place. It's just whether or not you're paying attention. Or open to it is another thing. I didn't know. I went my entire life before this, not even thinking there was such a thing as ghosts. Now I can walk into a showing and be like, and not want to be there. But the lighthouse is on water and it's on quartz, those are both big catalysts, conductors for paranormal activity. So I think that's what makes it a bit of a hot spot. David, we'd love to cross little David over, and we've had people try, but he's still there playing and doing his thing. So as we find out more, we'll be sure to tell you guys, but we're still learning as well. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
Just out of curiosity, are you planning on letting Keeper Sales know that people will be coming upstairs and having a heart-to-heart with him before and all that happens?
Yeah, are we going to let Keeper Sales know that people are coming upstairs? We're thinking he's probably one step ahead of us because the ceiling's been repaired. The lights are going nuts again right down here. That's interesting. Yeah, we always give him a little pep talk typically before we go in because I don't want him upset. It is his lighthouse and we are guests of them up there, so we're always very, very respectful. And if we get the get out, we do, because we don't want to step on their toes. If they've had enough, we don't push it. It's not a circus act up there. We're there to give you guys some history, and if something cool and unexplainable happens, we're all about that, but we're not there to poke and prod and irritate them by any means. We remain very respectful. We do bring some cool toys that hopefully will spark some interest and get a reaction, but we never push it. Yes, ma'am.
Was Keeper Sales the last lighthouse keeper?
Keeper Sales was not the last lighthouse keeper. Fred, this would be a great question for you. What year did they stop having keepers in Marquette? The Coast Guard moved in when?
About 1955, 56.
Okay, about 1955. And Keeper Sales passed away in the 1940s, 1943, I believe? 42? Okay. So he was one of towards the end, the Coast Guard people that have been stationed there, they've got some good ghost stories. Every once in a while we get them on a tour. Gold. They've got stories about a lady in an old-fashioned dress walking by the windows outside the lighthouse. Those windows are way high off the ground. Nobody's going to be walking by. Closet doors opening and closing, lights turning on and off. We've had the closet doors open on their own in there. It's freaky. We had 3 grown men on a tour one night, and there was pounding from inside one of the closets on the main floor, and this poor guy was over by me like a koala on my leg. Oh, Trish says I've got one more. Do you guys have time for one more story? Yes. Okay. This is the time that I ran. Actually, Trish beat me out the door. She was so scared. And I was never going back in the lighthouse. So this happened 2022. We stayed late after a paranormal tour because Trish wanted to investigate. I don't like being up there in the dark because the vibe kind of changes and they don't want you up there. You can feel it. They want you to leave. Trish loves that. And I love Trish. So I was willing to stay and hang out. And I brought a lawn chair because I'm lazy, and I was plopped in the living room area with my phone on a little tripod and doing Facebook Live, and we're in the dark because Trish loves doing these things in the dark. And it was all very Blair Witch Project. And she was sitting across the room from me, and all of a sudden we heard a man, or like booted footsteps, walking down the hallway and up the metal tower stairs. And we're the only two people in there, and this tripwire is going nuts right here. Anyway, I said, well, I suppose we have to get up and go see what that was. If I die, I hope you people are enjoying the Facebook Live. And we start making our way down the hallway, and I'm way close to Trish at this point. I'm terrified. Hate that stuff. I don't like being scared. I do what I do because I love the lighthouse and the Maritime Museum. Not a thrill seeker. Anyway, so we were walking by one of the empty rooms that we call the shipwreck room. It's got some artifacts in it. That room is dark. The whole damn place is dark. And something ran at us out of that room. I heard like the footsteps go and it felt the wind. Oh, nope. No, I shoved Trish down the hallway into the next room, and we're like facing the door like the Power Rangers. Something's pacing in the hallway out front. I want out of there worse than I've ever wanted out of anywhere in my life. And you can hear somebody pacing back and forth in the hallway, and I'm like, this is stupid. We are leaving, and we are leaving now. Like it was almost like a show of force. Like, we're gonna make you guys leave. We've had enough. And oh Lord, did they make us leave. I'm turning on lights and I'm like, we'll just leave the equipment. We'll come back for it tomorrow. And Trish is like, I'm not leaving my computer. We're packing stuff up. And you've never seen me tear down so fast. I'm shoving stuff in bags and ripping cords out of the wall. And the vibe in there was just energized. It was like we were being taught a lesson. The worst was yet to come. So we've both got big carry bags over our shoulders and we're making our way to the back door. And right at the back door is the stairwell into the basement, which was dark. And as we opened the back door to leave from the basement, we heard a disembodied laugh, a man laughing. And I will hear this laugh for the rest of my life. It was like, it was so evil. It was so amused. I think we left flames behind us running down the stairs. We got halfway down the stairs and Trisha's like, someone's looking at us out the window. I said, I don't give a damn. I'm hurdling the chain. If I die, I die. I'm out of here. That laugh. So I'm pretty sure Keeper Sales was just royally amused that he scared us out of there. But at that point, somebody could have been like, here's $100,000 to go back in there. And I was like, nope, not going back in ever. Hey, Hillary, I quit. And what was it, 2 days later, you called me and told me Keeper Sales' grandson was in town and I had to come give him a tour. And back up I went. Always the professional. It wasn't quite as scary in the daytime, but I think it was just a lesson in we don't want you up there in the dark. I don't go up there in the dark anymore. I learned my lesson. Trish is a little braver. She takes her paranormal team friends up there and they do their thing. Not me. I'm probably more scared of the big spiders up there than I am the ghosts. There's some chunky ones. You can hear them coming, but yeah. And no more Susan in the dark up there is the moral of the story. Any other questions, folks? Anybody? Nothing, hey? Okay. With that, you guys, thank you so much for coming and letting us talk. And I'm going to turn it back over to Fred. Come see us for a tour.
Thank you. Wasn't that a great presentation? Yeah. And remember, it's our lighthouse. It's not some generic thing down the highway somewhere. It's our red lighthouse here at the harbor that we've been able to have a team like this go into and come back with what they're coming back with. Somebody had a question about why a lighthouse. Let me answer that. I've been in probably several hundred lighthouses in the action of being a maritime historian and exploring and talking and writing about many of them. I am determined, and I truly believe, that every lighthouse is haunted. It depends on who you ask, when you ask them, and what you ask them. Now, you've got to think about this. Parapsychologists have long believed the connection between water and ghost activity. Well, what's on the water? The lighthouse is on the water. They've also believed in some cases that the activity in the lighthouse is promulgated by the psychic energy of the people that had lived there. This becomes the theory. Well, the lighthouse keeper, of course, lived there with his family, who did nothing but repetitive action. He got up in the morning, he climbed those tower stairs, he turned the light off. He did the same thing when he turned it on at night. He brought the oil up the tower, the oil down the tower, the empty cans, Everything they did followed a pattern day by day of what had to be accomplished according to rules and regulations by Lighthouse Service. So he was establishing every day a psychic pattern, if you will. So at the point when you look at ghostly activity, you've got a subject right there, and you've got a ready explanation for it if you choose to believe in that type of activity. But again, every lighthouse, I'm convinced, who you ask, when you ask, and when you explore them, you'll get an answer. That usually will be something about ghostly activity. Well, thank you all for coming, and thank you again for Susan and Trish in the presentation. I would encourage everybody to like the museum, please, on Facebook, so you can keep up to date with what we have going on and when we're doing it. Remember, we'll be back on board next November for the beginning of the second season of Maritime History on Tap. If you have any suggestions as to what programs we could include or focus on, please let me know. We'll see how we can build that into the program schedule. I would encourage you also to consider joining the museum. The information is on our table. Or consider please volunteering at the museum so you can have exciting adventures like Susan has had. Bar's open. Give them a little bit of business. They've been very good to this museum and very good in how they've hosted us on these presentations. So please don't be afraid to repay them. But I would ask you to be careful as you drive home tonight. Thank you again for your support. And the date for you to remember, May 8th or May 14th, that'll be the opening date of the museum this year, 11 a.m. in the morning. Thank you again for your time and your attention.
You're part of the museum, you have to do too.